Welcome everyone to a new video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how is it even possible to make movies on iPhones? Let's find out. So to not waste your time, I'm just going to say straight up, I think it is possible, maybe even better, to film movies on an iPhone. Here's why. First of all, the iPhone, it's something that we all have, not just iPhones but smartphones in general. It's something that we all have, and on top of that, the camera quality is always amazing. For this video in particular, I should have said this in the beginning, but I'm going to be talking about the iPhone 12 Pro because that's what I have. But this can apply to not just iPhones, but Samsung, Google Pixel. All of those phones can pretty much have the same capability as an iPhone. So I'm going to be talking about an iPhone in this video, but to generalize, most phones, it has what the iPhone has. So yeah, back to my point. Most of the time, your phone has better camera quality than most cameras out there. So the iPhone can shoot up to 4K and 60 frames per second, which is a beast mode. This camera right here, the GH5, can also shoot in 4K 60 frames, but my last camera was the Canon T5i. That can only shoot 1080p at 30 frames per second. On top of that, cameras in particular, you need different lenses for your camera. Like you have like a wide lens, you have a prime lens, you have a telephoto lens, you have all these different lenses, and each lens can cost like a crazy ton of money. Like I saw this one lens that cost like $600, which is crazy. So the investment on the cameras can add up over time. Whereas on an iPhone, you have 3 cameras in one, right there. You have the wide-angle lens, well, Apple calls it the ultra-wide, which is a 13mm lens. You also have a 26mm lens, and then you have your 52mm lens, your prime lens, built right into your camera. So if you're on a video shoot, and if you need to switch to different lenses, you can do it with one tap away, just from an iPhone. Whereas on a normal camera, you need to stop, take the lenses out, get your other lens, put it on, readjust the framing and everything, and then click record. So that time, the timing between, switching lenses on the camera and then just tapping on your phone, you save a lot of time. The iPhone and smartphones in general are so tiny. Look how tiny this thing is. Even if you have the biggest size, this is the 12 Pro, which is a 6.1 inch screen. Even if you have like the Pro Max or something, you have a tiny phone with you that can shoot amazing quality. So what that means is that you can put your camera in different unique spots that you typically can't do on a bigger camera. For example, in one of my movies a long time ago called The Case of Ken Coral, there was this one scene where the camera is literally on the ground, in between the cracks of the door and the ground. Like that's tiny space between that. That's where we put the iPhone to get that cool shot of the viewers looking up at Detective Jones. With a smartphone as your camera, you can really get creative shots for your short films and movies just because of how tiny the camera is. Also, a big thing with the iPhone and smartphones in general, stabilization. You can get some of the nicest, stablest, smoothest shots of all time just by normally holding your phone like this. If you hold your camera like this and you try to walk forwards or backwards, it's shaky. Depending on what camera you have, it's shaky. That's why most filmmakers buy stabilizations or gimbals and stuff to help fight the shakiness of your shots. Whereas the iPhones and smartphones in general, it's built right in, and it's amazing. It's a pretty good job. There's also other camera apps in the App Store that gives you more functionality with your shots and how you take videos. So for me personally, I've always just used the normal camera app on the iPhone, but there's a lot of apps out there. Like Filmic Pro is a heavy-duty app which lets you control pretty much everything you can control on a camera. You can do the white balance, you can set the white balance, the ISO, you can change your shutter speed, you can change everything you want to change, aperture included, and it's only $20. So just think about the pricing for a second. One camera, one lens can cost you a good amount of money. Let's just say $1,000, right? An iPhone with $1,000, you can buy an iPhone that already has 3 lenses included, that's right here. You already have the 3 lenses. On top of that, you spend $20 more, you get an app like Filmic Pro that lets you control everything all at once. On top of that, you can put your iPhone in any scenario, any situation you want to put it in, get those creative shots in. On top of that, it has a built-in gimbal, essentially, on the iPhone. The stabilization is top-notch. On a camera, you need different lenses. You need to buy different lenses separately. You need to buy a gimbal separately. And you don't really have that flexibility of putting your camera in situations. You know, you have limitations on the camera, whereas on the phone, not as much. So now let's talk about the audio with filming on an iPhone and smartphones in general. I'm gonna be honest, audio on the iPhones and smartphones is not the best, depending on how far away the iPhone is from the subject. When I did Case of Ken Coral and a bunch of other films with an iPhone, the audio was definitely one of those things that wasn't that. It could be better, you know what I mean? It could be better, but it does get the job done. But there are, like, shotgun microphones that are in the market right now that is capable of connecting to your phone. So, like, for instance, this setup right here, I have a shotgun microphone right there, connected to a boom mic, which is then with an extension cable connected to the camera right there. But this microphone, this is the Deity D3 Pro. This microphone can be connected to a smartphone. And so essentially, I can have this same exact setup, replace this camera with this phone, and I'll have amazing audio. You can get cheap microphones that connect to your phone and have amazing quality. For some of the films I've made on an iPhone, I didn't buy those types of microphones because back then, those didn't really exist. Now they do. And I'm glad they do because it is like top-notch. Audio, you hear this all the time. Audio is half of your video. If your audio isn't good, then your video isn't good. If your audio is good but your video isn't good, then your video isn't good. You know what I mean? So there's a bunch of that going around, but you are able to get great audio from an iPhone with external audio like that. And also not just shotgun microphones. You can also get those, lav mics right here. You can attach to your clothing and you can get amazing audio that way. The audio products are more iPhone, smartphone friendly, which is a good thing to see. But if you don't want to spend the money on microphone equipment and stuff like that, well, it doesn't matter because the iPhone microphone is still pretty good depending on how close or how far it is from the subject. If you're doing like close-up shots in a movie, you can get some good audio in there. And also, the biggest thing about smartphones is that their preamps aren't as bad as it is on cameras. On cameras, those preamps are so trash, like awful. Like the Canon T5i, Canons in general, they have terrible preamps. So anything to get rid of preamps is good. And the iPhones, as far as I can hear, they don't have preamp interference with your audio. So add the audio with the microphone, you have some amazing audio right there. So this is something that I really wanted to talk about in this video. It's editing straight from the iPhone. I know, that's crazy, but hear me out. There's apps like iMovie is free, I'm pretty sure. Back when I first started using iMovie, it cost me like $5 to use it, but now I think it's free. But anyway, iMovie and also LumaFusion, those are apps that pretty much takes the editing from desktop onto your phone, and it's amazing. It's just as crazy as, editing on a computer. So editing on an iPhone may sound crazy because you have a smaller screen and you don't think it's not that powerful, but, speaking for an iPhone 12 Pro, it can handle 4K editing like it's nothing. Like it's absolutely nothing. It's impressive what this little thing can do. So you pretty much have an editing machine as well as a camera built in to one device right here. If you want to edit, let's just say you're on a set, if you want to make sure you shot everything right in the scene and you want to put it together real quick, you can do it right here on your camera. And yeah, I've said this throughout the video, but like I used to shoot on an iPhone. Like there's a lot of films that you can go on my channel and watch that I've shot on an iPhone. Though not this iPhone, I didn't shoot it on this iPhone, but I shot it on like older iPhones, like the Case of Ken Coral, which I mentioned earlier, Soldier in the Real World 2, and more recently, The Cabin. I shot that on an iPhone 11, I think, 11 Pro. Looking at those movies, I don't think people could tell that they were shot on an iPhone. Those films, I didn't even use the audio setup I was talking about earlier. I just shot it straight from the microphone audio, or the phone audio. And yeah, they turned out amazing. On The Cabin, we used the app that allowed us to control the camera settings a little bit more. So that's why we get like less grainy shots in The Cabin. Whereas in the case of Ken Coral and The Soldier in the Real World 2, those were shot on just a basic camera app that comes with the iPhone. And yeah, like I said before, the audio wasn't as bad because there is no preamp interference. there is, but like not as much as there would be on a normal camera, you know? And also, there is a lot of movies, like full-length feature films, that are shot on an iPhone. There was one called, that I recently saw, called Unsane, and that one was shot on an iPhone 7 Plus, I think? I can't remember. But that movie was shot entirely on an iPhone, and yeah, it's crazy. The quality it's crazy. And then yeah, the other movie is called Tangerine, I think. I mean, it's on the screen, so you can judge from that. But that one was shot on the iPhone 6s. So these are older movies, but the quality of those movies were like the camera quality was like amazing. Yeah, those were from years ago. So consider now. So the capabilities of a smartphone filmmaking is high. Like you can get some amazing stuff out of this. And that's what it comes down to. Like filmmaking isn't about the camera you use or the equipment. It's about how you use your equipment, you know? So yeah, I mean, overall, I think shooting on an iPhone it's crazy. It's good. It's a good way to start and also continue shooting your short films, movies, and, you know, just videos in general. Because, again, 4K, 24 frames, 3 different lenses, stabilization, pretty good microphone. Just spend like an extra $100 on an external microphone, and you will get even top-notch audio quality. On top of that, if you don't have a computer or any heavy-duty editing machines, you know, LumaFusion, even iMovie, right here, built into your phone. And, yeah, it's a pretty good little thing that can shoot a lot of stuff. Go ahead, try to shoot on an iPhone, and you will be impressed by how amazing the quality is, how creative you can get with an iPhone. It's crazy. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man, for this video. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to see more content from me. And yeah, go ahead and shoot on an iPhone. It'll be crazy. I'm excited to see those kind of films. Have a nice day.